We are here with Thomas Goldvaldsen from Arendal Sound. New product launch 1528. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Hey folks, I'm Gene Delasala with Audioholics. Thomas, it is great having you back on the channel again to talk about our favorite Norwegian loudspeaker company, Arendal Sound. How you doing?
Thanks, mate. I'm doing great. It's good to be back.
Awesome. So you guys have been teasing a lot lately about the 1528, the saga continues. You obviously have a new high-end speaker line coming out. The 1961 series has been discontinued. 1723 is still in production, but that's not going to be the flagship series going forward in the next few months or so. Is that correct? This is going to be the 1528. It's going to be the big.
Yes,
the big guns.
To be our new flagship series. Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about, first of all, what does 1528 mean? Why did you guys choose that model number, or just what that significance of that number is? And then we're going to give some teaser shots, some concept photos, and then we're going to have you back on a few weeks later when the product series is officially launched to get into more of the design details. But I think we could spill some of the beans here now. Why don't we start off just talking about what 1528 means?
So for all our kind of product series, we have chosen some year of significance for Arendal, and 1528 in the book, history book, it's the first year that Arendal was ever mentioned. At that point, it was called Arendal, so kind of like the Disney movie in a sense. So
I got you.
Picking out the importance or important dates from Arendal's history.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show some teaser photos here. As you guys can see, this is a completely new kind of design concept for Arendal Sound. You have a waveguide. That mid-range is really close to the tweeter. We could talk about why you did that. Here's an up-close look at the waveguide on the tweeter. You guys can see some more shots here. There's some serious engineering going on here with just the way that the drivers are mounted to the baffles. You could tell that this is some serious product. I like the inverted surround on the drivers. That's new for you guys as well. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about why you did that, but it looks beautiful having the drivers fully submerged into the baffle like that. Looks just very slick.
That's a design feature for the most mistakes. I think it just looked really clean having the inverted surround on the woofers.
It does look really clean. So the first thing I guess that's on my mind is, for years you guys have done traditionally two-way speakers or 2.5-way speakers. You didn't have any dedicated 3-way speakers in any of your lineups. Yeah. Now it looks like you're embracing 3-way. What pushed you to, or what inspired you to go with 3-way designs? What are the pros and cons of this kind of design architecture for this new series?
I think some of the reason is a lot of potential customers out there, they have been asking why don't you have a 3-way center for a long time. Mm-hmm. I think our current 2-way designs in the 1723 series, even for the center, it's a very good way to do it. We have cropped the tweeter very low, so you still get a good dispersion from the center speaker. But going with a 3-way design, obviously you get even better dispersion characteristics from the center. And the way that we have made the waveguide integrating very closely with the mid-range, you also get a better vertical dispersion from the pair, rather than having a larger 8-inch or 6.5 that's further away from a large waveguide. Yeah, you will get a larger kind of dip in the vertical plane. So you get, a bit more even off-axis response also.
So that's really, guys, the advantage of having a 3-way center channel, especially if it's horizontally mounted under a big screen TV, is when you have the woofer, the mid-range and the tweeter vertically oriented, you get better off-axis, less off-axis lobing. That means you get better consistency in sound at the far left or the far right seats. Now, the very best MTMs can do really well in most cases. Like you guys did a great job with your existing MTMs with the waveguide and just the geometry of the crossover and just the way you guys did the whole design. It was actually really well done for an MTM. But if you are sitting off at more of a far off-axis seat, there's definitely benefits for a three-way design. Now, the problem is some three-way designs tend to be very dynamically limited because they use a very small mid-range driver, and then the sensitivity of the system could be lower as opposed to using two larger drivers with the tweeter. And I don't know much about the specs of the 1528s because you guys are treating this like Roswell technology. We just don't have a lot of information on it yet. But maybe you could comment about the sensitivity of the series compared to the 1723s. Are we going to have similar sensitivity to the 1723 or higher sensitivity, meaning it'll play louder at the same giving amplifier power?
We will actually have slightly lower sensitivity for throughout the series. And that is a kind of a path we've taken and a choice to get more low-end output, to have more of a full range speaker series that you don't necessarily need to have a subwoofer even. Although for a high-end home cinema system, I would anyways recommend using a subwoofer to get full outputs all the way down.
Yeah, basically, anytime you want deeper bass extension, you're almost always going to have to sacrifice some sensitivity for that, right?
Yeah, you will. We also kind of had some worries about going with a smaller mid-range from currently dual 18 mid-ranges, basically, on the 1723 series. So what we've done, we've kind of played all the tricks in the book that we know and that we can to make it's a 5-inch mid-range we're using for the new series. And we wanted to have basically be able to match the output of the 1723 mid-range. And frankly, we made it. It actually outperforms the max SPL of the dual 8 inches in the 1723s, which by memory, one of them will do about 118 dB at 1 meter.
Wow.
Dynamically. So a pair of them will do 124 together. But this, the new one, the new mid-range, which you can see here.
Whoa, that's a beefy driver.
It has a pretty beefy motor for a small mid-range. It's kind of just mounting this thing in the cabinet is a headache because the magnet is so close to where you mount the screws.
Yeah.
But this thing will do 130 dB before it burns.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's beyond what the speaker can do.
So, question I have for you on that driver when you showed it. Can you show the driver one more time so I can ask the question? I noticed it's a sealed. The back end of it is sealed.
It's fully sealed. It's a sealed, fully enclosed driver. And there's a few reasons why we designed it the way we have. The sealed enclosure, we've tuned it for how we need the driver to behave, how far down we're crossing it over. It will raise the FS of the driver compared to having an open basket.
Yeah.
But it also increases the sensitivity by a good margin. And you have less compression in the upper area when we're doing it this way, when you get as much sensitivity out of it as you can. Then with distortion also relatively goes down. So the driver itself, it's an 8-ohm voice coil on this unit.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a sensitivity of about 97.5 dB.
Wow.
Before you put the crossover on it. So that's kind of the reason why it's able to play so loud before kind of it burns out, before you're able to burn the voice coil.
Wow, that's pretty impressive for the high sensitivity for such a small driver. So what is the driver material made of? It doesn't look like it's a treated paper. It looks like it's something more exotic than that. Can you talk a little bit about the driver the driver materials on the mid-range and the woofers?
Just a bit close up here. So this is a carbon graphene cone. It's not a conventional carbon weave, as you can see. It's more like loose carbon fiber strands that are mashed up and layer by layer added also graphene in between, and it completely changes how the driver's or the cone's resonance compared to a normal carbon weave.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to do a lighter cone that's even stiffer and that has better damping properties, which for me is probably the most important point for a dedicated mid-range driver. Some very stiff materials, they will have a higher resonance frequency and to me don't really sound natural. I think paper is a great material in the mid-range. It has really good damping, but the caveat with paper is that it's flexing a bit too much, so you're kind of taking away some of the transients and attack that this material is really keeping up with. So kind of get the best from both worlds in my perspective.
So with this example, you're getting the high sensitivity, almost like a paper driver, but you're getting the stiffness of a more exotic.
Yeah, higher sensitivity than a paper driver. It's lighter than you could make a paper cone in this type of driver. So you get better in both worlds in that sense.
Oh, interesting.
But it doesn't have the harshness of a stiff material that has a higher resonance. So if you tap the cone of this material, it has like a pretty dull sound to it. It doesn't have like any ringing, any high-pitched ringing, that type of sound.
Okay. So that's the mid-range driver. I'm assuming the bass drivers are not made from carbon graphene. They're probably made from some other material, correct?
Yes. They are made from aluminum. So it's a
aluminum.
Aluminum cone. Yeah. Yeah, aluminum for you guys in the US.
Do you have a driver you could show us?
I don't, not right here. We'll have to keep that for next talk, I think.
For the bass driver, it's aluminum cone. It's some type of some type of a prism pattern to increase the stiffness or the rigidity of the cone. Is that true?
Yes. Maybe you can show the picture you showed in the beginning of the driver. So
yeah, let's see if you can see that. Yeah, you can kind of see it a little bit.
Yeah. So that's a pattern that we've stamped into the cone itself, which stiffens. It's a pretty stiff shape, just the geometry of the cone itself to start with. But with the prism patterns, it makes it even stiffer and more well behaved, I'd say.
Right.
And for me, a really stiff cone used in the lower mid-range and bass area, it doesn't really need to have high damping, kind of like the mid-range I was talking about. I would even say that an underdamped driver works just as well, if not even better, for that purpose. So we're able to, by also doing S3, we were able to kind of split up the frequency area of the drivers and use the materials that work best in this area. So if we compare it with 1723 woofers that are using treated paper cones, these are much stiffer and will give you a how do we put this, like a more of a raspiness on the deep male vocal, whereas paper is a bit more rounded up because it is flexing a bit more than the aluminum cones. So it's a bit more accurate to the signal in that sense. And even the bass dynamics is also improved slightly because you have less flex of the entire cone in the area.
Okay. Is there a reason why you went with an inverted surround?
That is mostly for looks. We think it makes the whole look of the speaker look quite a bit cleaner than having
It does
the
look really
surround
slick. Yeah,
in front.
that's really cool.
It,
Now
it does.
the trim ring around the driver, is that just for cosmetic, or does that actually act as a way to increase the sensitivity a little bit? Is there any acoustical benefit to doing the driver into the baffle like that with that little ring around it?
No, the ring is just there to kind of
Cosmetic.
make it match the baffle, and then to remove screws. We don't want to have visible screw holes in the front of the baffle. So just to make a clean aesthetic, we have this aluminum trim rings around the woofers.
Okay. So let's talk about the tweeter now. Is this a different tweeter than we see in the 1723? Obviously, the waveguide is different, but is the actual tweeter an upgrade, or different material?
Yep.
Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yep, for sure. We're in 1723. We're using a silk dome tweeter, a 28 millimeter silk dome. We're still stuck with 28 millimeter size for this tweeter. But we're no longer using a silk dome. We're going with something called Lithium-Magnesium, which I don't think I've seen anyone else use in the industry thus far. We've seen a few magnesium domes.
I've seen aluminum magnesium, not lithium magnesium.
Yeah. Lithium magnesium is far more expensive than aluminum magnesium. But it also has better behavior, better properties from a material standpoint. This is more akin to a beryllium in kind of its sonic character, and it's a lot stiffer than silk that we've used in the past. But this material still has pretty good damping properties, so it won't get harsh, even though if we were to cross it over lower. It's from listening tests that we've done with different materials. This is best one we've kind of come across. We also have been testing beryllium, and we're kind of looking into using that because, well, it's kind of known by many to be kind of the best out there. They sound very similar. If you have a equal frequency response on them, I'm really struggling to hear a difference, to be honest. Okay. So the reason for why we went with lithium magnesium mostly comes down to productability or production ability. It's there's just one vendor in the world that's producing beryllium, and they would rather produce it on like large size, something not at 20 something millimeter dome. So you'll kind of be pushed back in line when it comes to new productions. And there are some headaches in that sense. This is just a bit easier for us to control and have better predictability in the future with.
That makes a lot of sense. So the other design feature I noticed different on the 1528s as opposed to your other ones is the curved baffle. Aesthetically, it's beautiful, but I'm wondering, is there any time alignment properties to why you guys went this route? Obviously, you got the mid-range really close to the tweeter, which helps with some of that as well. Why don't you talk a little bit about why there's a curved baffle on here?
Sure. So this baffle is has kind of a perfect alignment of all drivers when you're seated 4 meters away from the tower, and listening height of about 94 centimeters from the floor. Not sure what that is in inches on the top of my head, but it means all the drivers are pointing directly at listening position. So even the lowest woofer, it's pointing directly to this point and has the exact same distance between all drivers. And from a crossover standpoint, that's kind of where you mess with the timing between the drivers. But even when that is correct, right, and you have 4 woofers, and they're just on a flat baffle, instead of having this curvature, they will have a difference in timing. which on a frequency response measurement, it looks kind of the same because the wavelengths are pretty long. But our ears are a bit more sensitive to kind of timing than measurements are, and you can hear the difference, especially how we've designed it when we have a crossover frequency that's a bit higher than we have using a 2.5 way design on the 17 kHz, for example, which they are close at 120 hertz. These are around 400 hertz. So at that point, it starts really making a difference on how you perceive the sound of the speaker. It sounds like a more integral source of sound that just has better dynamics and impact, really.
And there are other measurements you could use besides frequency response to see the benefits. You could use step response. You could use a feature called wavelets in REW. So if you measure at the main listening position of the speaker, I've seen phase coherent, time coherent speakers just give you very clean wavelet responses in REW. And I know there's a lot of people that are on the fence about whether there's benefits to time coherence or phase coherent speakers, but I could speak from personal experience because I have multiple active speakers in my systems that are phase and time coherent. It is a nice icing on the cake. So if you have a really competently good design already and you're not compromising any of the design aspects of that speaker, there's nothing wrong with making it time and phase coherent. It's just good housekeeping. It just shows you're taking the engineering to that next step. And at the same token, the speaker looks gorgeous when it has the curvature on it like that, as you're seeing in these concept photos.
I think it looks nice. We have what they call a compound curve on the front baffle. So it's not just curved in this one direction, but it also has like a second curve in the curve, which it's kind of a hassle from a production standpoint. It takes a lot of time to make this baffle, but for us, it makes sense from a sonic perspective and then on the visuals as well on top of it. This ends up being a 8 centimeter thick baffle, which is like 3 inches thick.
Wow.
It's a pretty sturdy thing.
That's serious. These can't be light. Yeah. These towers must weigh close to 150, 160 pounds or more, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's a bit more, I think, actually. 79 kilos.
That's that's almost 200 pounds, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure the math in my head. Maybe it's like 170, 180, something like that.
Yeah.
Pounds. It's pretty sturdy. So it's like what we're doing in production. We're pressing first one shape using thin boards of HDF with glue in between all the layers. And this pressing one of these baffles takes a bit more than an hour because it's so thick that you can't use heat to make the glue dry faster. If it was a thinner baffle, we could, but it's so thick and sturdy, it needs to take more time. Now, when that's done, you have to CNC out the kind of the second curve in the whole thing, which also is very labor time consuming.
Cool. Well, I think, you've shared some details. Obviously, we want to get you back on to do more when the products are officially released. But for what we know right now is there's 1 or 2 tower speakers.
One tower.
So there's 1 tower, 1 bookshelf, and then the world's largest or one of the largest center channels is what you guys are deeming this to be.
Yeah, well, I think it's up there.
It's up there? Okay. So this is a seriously high output, low distortion, audiophile speaker, basically. Is there going to be a THX rating on this series, or do you guys not doing THX for the 1528s?
We're not doing THX on the 1528. We did debate it in the get-go, whether or not we would go with a dominance rating for these.
Well, if you're telling me that the tower does 118 dB at 1 meter, I mean, that's serious output.
Yeah. Well, 118 dB, I think I was referring to the just one mid-range of the 17.3, but it actually does do 118 dB at 1 meter. So it's kind of a coincidence.
Excellent.
But we were debating it. We did not go with it for various reasons. I think for the home cinema guys, they would probably be cheering it on. But for the guys that are only up for stereo systems, they would maybe have a second opinion because it has THX stamped on it, and that's not really for music in a way. Although me and you know that's not right. You know, it's easy to have some thoughts of what it really does to the sound in a way.
Right.
We end up not going with THX for this range.
Well, what I'm hearing from you, from what you talked about with the bass driver, and just the fact that you reduce some of the sensitivity of the system to get more bass output, it sounds to me like each one of these models are kind of full range, or they could be used without a subwoofer, even including the bookshelf. The bookshelf should have enough bass to be satisfying for 2-channel music. Is that correct?
No, definitely. Because even the smallest on-wall speaker will have pretty adequate bass all the way down.
That's very cool. And guys, if you're into the newer room correction systems like Direct Art, that could be beneficial if you're trying to use all the speakers in your system to correct the bass of your whole response. Having full range towers and even close to full range bookshelf speakers and on-wall products, it's unusual in home cinema to have that. So you guys are really designing the speaker to be audiophile and cinema. You want to have people have their cake and eat it too.
It's the way to go.
Well, Thomas, I appreciate your dropping some of the info on these products. I'm going to put a link in the video description below. It's for you guys to go to the Arendal page. You can register and can get more information on these products. We're the first to drop this information. There's going to be a lot more coming for the 1528s. We're going to be reviewing some of these products as well. I'm getting in the bookshelf speaker. I'm very excited to actually be able to have one of these in hand to touch, listen, to measure, and all that stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Thomas, we're going to have you back in a couple of weeks when everything is launched and just get some more info from you.
Forward to it.
Awesome. Guys, if you like this video, please hit the thumb up, hit subscribe. Don't forget about our Patreon channel at patreon.com/audioholics. We appreciate your support. You get direct access to me if you want to suggest video topics. And until next time, my friends, keep listening.